Metal Gear Survive might be the worst game coming out in 2018. In the gaming industry, gamers are no strangers to cash grabs. We've had our fair share of free-to-play monstrosities, and hard mode DLCs as a quick and easy turnout, developed with statistics in mind before artistic vision. We suffered through a year's gutting of Star Wars last year, and continue to watch Bungie turn its once artistic vision for the future of online FPS into a soulless microtransaction platform. And thankfully, we've been fighting back. Battlefront 2 bombed on reviews, and sold far less than was anticipated, and Destiny 2 has been seeing its player base disappear as Bungie finds themselves issuing apology after apology with a new controversy each week. But Konami's latest soulless iteration into the Metal Gear Solid series might be the worst example of publisher malice in the AAA gaming industry yet. It's some pretty cruel irony that the first game in the Metal Gear franchise to be released post-Kojima is a zombie game, because that's what the franchise seems to have turned into. The Konami meltdown in 2015, the sort of publisher's poor conduct and nefarious intent come to light, with the poor working conditions for employees and switching focus from gaming to pachinko machines, that eventually led to the cancellation of the incredible Silent Hill reboot, and Hideo Kojima's eventual leave from Konami following months of rumoured fallings out that led to that disaster at the Game Awards.
Kiefer for accepting that award, and as you noticed, Hideo Kojima is not here with us tonight, and I want to tell you a little bit about that. Mr. Kojima had every intention of being with us tonight, but unfortunately he was informed by a lawyer representing Konami just recently that he would not be allowed to travel to...
Konami went from being a well-respected and beloved publisher of classics such as Silent Hill and Castlevania to the definition of corporate greed in the gaming industry, even before all the cool kids were doing it. Konami created a lot of bad blood, and rightly so, but the real twist of the knife was their unwillingness to just sell up and move on. Despite seemingly having little interest in the gaming industry anymore, the company was still holding on to the IPs that we all love. Like the petty kid who won't let anyone else play with his toys, Konami have no real plan or love for these franchises anymore, but don't want to see anyone else love or enjoy them either. This unfortunately means that if these games even have a future at all, it's likely to look more like Silent Hill Book of Memories than PT. Though perhaps the worst fate of them all is the one given to Metal Gear Solid. Announced at Gamescom 2016, Metal Gear Survive, the upcoming next installment in the Metal Gear franchise by Konami, is the definition of video game cynicism. A product so devoid of creative merit and artistic vision that it's downright insulting. No game before has ever felt so lifeless in its idea, and distance from its name says this. It's obvious just from the name alone that Metal Gear Survive was a game birthed in a boardroom, and was already greenlit before anyone on the creative side knew of its existence. When a series creative lead steps down from a franchise, it falls on the publishers and fresh faces to try and recapture and continue the legacy. And we've seen it happen before in the past. While some people may have choice words to say about Halo 5, Halo 4 was a huge success when it originally launched, and while again some feel it didn't quite capture the magic of Bungie, isn't that ironic looking back? No one can argue it didn't at least try, that it didn't at least respect the player base and understand what made it so popular to begin with. Same can be said for Bioshock 2, a sequel that had it been in any other franchise would have been considered incredible. But again, it at least had the intent, at least some artistic and creative merit to show for itself and try. Metal Gear Survive shows just how little Konami cares, not only about its products, but about its fans. Konami announced this game already well aware of just how much of a slap in the face its very existence was, knowing completely how derivative and so far removed from what the Metal Gear series is, and they did it anyway. Essentially treating their audience like they were less than dirt by throwing a game idea so cliche, so predictable, and so against what the original series stood for, that it's almost hard to fathom this isn't some kind of IGN April Fool's announcement. And of course, all of what I have just been saying can be mitigated by saying, but what if the game is good? Luckily, some hidden patrons sitting at Konami decided to release a beta for the game last month, presumably to warn anyone blind enough to think about buying it. Running from the 18th of January to the 21st, the Metal Gear Survive beta pretty much confirmed everything I thought the game would be going in, ripping its structure and mechanics more or less wholesale from Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. The game awkwardly tries to Frankenstein's monster, a survival game's mechanics, into a predominantly stealth game framework with middling results. Now you might be thinking, wait, so this game doesn't have stealth mechanics? And the answer is traces, but not really. While you can stealth kill the odd enemy before a mission starts, the game's boring mission structure really doesn't cater to it. And speaking of the mission structure, I hope you like hard mode because that's what's on the menu in this restaurant. The level offered on the game's beta was some of the most basic and boring hard mode content this side of the first Nazi Zombies map. Turn on the generator, or the research device, or who cares, and fight the same 2 enemies who all pour from the same 3 portals at the end of the road. They don't even have unique starting points, you can just camp these portals and it'll be the same every time. Complete the same 4 or 5 waves, mission complete, here's new gun, do it all again. That's pretty much it, and while I get that this is the beta, the fact that this is what Konami considered the best content to win players over does not bode well for the rest of the game. Though the full game will include an open world and building mechanics, I imagine both mechanics are poor reskins of the ones from MGS5, and created with far less care, something previews from a lot of publications seem to confirm. But even if they were realised, it wouldn't matter, because the game's overall combat is clunky at best. With the stealth mechanics more or less absent, and guns making the enemies trivial, you'll spend most of the time in melee combat, using makeshift spears and knives. Thing is, the melee combat in Survive is imprecise, and it's often hard to tell your distance from an enemy, leading to missed hits. The enemies also tend to stun lock the player, and are generally just not all that satisfying to fight. Despite Konami's attempts to give Survive that tactile looter feeling, such as picking up crafting materials, and shattering off the heads of the game's zombie enemies, it really just isn't all that fun to play, and feels more like a fan mod in the Fox engine. Which probably wouldn't be far from the truth if anyone at Konami showed any sign of actually being a fan of the franchise. While there could be things to compliment in the game, these things are down to the game's engine and hand-me-down mechanics from the Phantom Pain, and Konami doesn't deserve any of the credit for these aspects of the game. While some people might not see the game as particularly terrible or offensive in the grand scheme of things, after all it's being sold at a discounted price of £25, though it has microtransactions and always online requirements, and it's only a spin-off, right? But it's Konami's arrogance and disregard towards not just the Metal Gear fanbase, but the game community as a whole. It's a product created with such cynicism and a lack of care put into it that makes it one of the worst releases coming out this year. In the past, companies would at least attempt to hide the terrible attempts at cash grabs. At least when 2K tried to turn the XCOM series into a third-person shooter, they gave us a chance to vote with our wallets and made XCOM Enemy Unknown, with only the latter surviving to the next generation. With Metal Gear Survive, Konami is telling the gaming community they can do whatever the hell they want with the franchise, and they don't care what you think about it. Of all the microtransaction, pre-order bonus, season pass tricks that publishers have been using to suck the art and life out of the gaming industry with, Metal Gear Survive is the worst of the worst, a true example of a product created with only stats and sales charts in mind. It's a low point for a series that was once looked at as a defining example of how video games can be art. A series created with a true vision and meaning behind it, from a man who poured his creativity into something truly unique and special. Metal Gear Survive represents something almost as scary as a zombie apocalypse, and with any luck won't survive when it goes on sale February 20th. Thanks for watching this sort of ranty review feature sort of video. I apologise for the audio and voiceover being a little rough at points. Making this video was a learning experience for me over the last week I spent putting it together, and the things I hope to get better at as I go on. I hope to put out analysis, review and feature type videos for video games on this channel every 1 to 2 weeks, so if you feel like this video was fairly above average, maybe consider subscribing. I plan on taking this very seriously over the foreseeable future, and I had a lot of fun making this video. My next video is going to be about a certain literature club that a lot of people are talking about, so keep your eyes peeled for that. The bit of footage you're seeing now was provided by Anto de Figel, I hope I'm saying that right, and that twinkly lo-fi music you heard in the background is by my good friend Mizey. So links for those in the description if you want to check them out. And thanks again for watching.